Hello, and welcome to another episode of Improperly Packaged, the show where we unbox topics related to movies, TV, games, whatever. I am Jordan. With me is Luke. How you doing, Luke?
Doing well. How is everyone out there?
You know, I'm
How
in
are you?
here, but I'm technically out there. I mean, I'm not in the same room as you, so I am
Yep.
out there a
You're
little
out there
bit.
from me. Yep. It's definitely true.
That's sad. But doing good. Doing good, man. This is the week. This is a very exciting week. We're obviously going to talk a lot about our expectations for how this week will go for us, and kind of our plans moving
Mm-hmm.
forward into it. But yeah, either way, very
Or
exciting.
lack of plans. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, we'll get into it and talk all about it. But other than that, I'm good. This has been a very unhealthy week for me. As far as eating goes. I mean, usually me and my wife are so good at cooking in and just having meals here, but it's her birthday week, so we're trying to take advantage of all the free stuff. And so that's led us to places
Might
like,
as well.
yeah, might as well. It's led us to places like Zaxby's, Buffalo Wild Wings,
Yeah.
PDQ most recently tonight, but each one has left me so sluggish. So I'm going to keep the
Yeah.
energy regardless. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great podcast. 100%. How are you doing, man?
PDQ is really good.
PDQ is
They
so
have
good.
the bomb ranch.
Yeah, that is some good
Freaking
ranch.
bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Some
Yeah.
places, their sauces, it's just like, whoo.
Sometimes,
What you guys are doing, but it's right.
yeah, and I love places that are very liberal with their sauces, where they're like, "What sauces
Yeah.
do you need?" And you can like list off the world, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Here you go." I think Chick-fil-A is
Chewy's
similar.
is a good example where I feel like they're pretty good with it. They'll bring you a bucket
Yeah,
if you need one.
it's like don't be stingy with your sauces and be like, you have one for free and after that it's 50 cents each. Screw that.
Ugh. Yeah. Papa John's is really bad about that.
Yes, they are.
I think it's like our local guy that runs it, and he's like so stingy. He's like, "You want special seasoning? Well, that'll be a special price, young man."
Get away from me, Papa John.
No.
Our
How
local
much
Papa
did that
John.
cost you?
I know, exactly.
How much?
Is it worth the loss of customer service? Sushi places are the same, to where it's like you get your soy sauce and that's it. Everything else is extra. I think you may be able to get like one teriyaki or one, but anything after that, it's like, okay, that'll be $1 more, something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do better. Look to
It's
PDQ.
sauce. Come on.
Yeah, and like PDQ has so many sauces, which is great. This big giant menu. They have like a separate menu for sauces. It's wonderful. I love sauces.
Yeah. That's the way it should be at a chicken place.
Yeah, you
What
just
I say.
dipping and dipping and dipping. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. That's how I feel about it, Luke. That's just how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You gotta
anyways,
get your chicken dipped.
yeah, I'm a dipper. I dip a lot of stuff. It's like I dip my fries when I'm given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza into ranch. I know that's
Especially that PDQ ranch.
uh-huh. Yeah, there's some controversial things that I dip here and there. Okay, so along with not eating healthy, so we went to when we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. One of the really good dips we got is we had a little side of beer cheese to dip our
Mm-hmm.
tater tots in. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Bethany made that once, and it's
Mm,
really good homemade beer cheese. It can be like a soup, or it can be
mm.
like a dip or bread. Oh, it's so good with bread.
That's the good stuff. It's just something really nice and rich. Ooh,
I feel like that's Irish. Seems Irish.
it
A
does.
rich Guinness in a good melting cheese.
Mm-hmm. That sound really good. Sounds really good to me right now, even though I feel like I just
Yeah.
swallowed a pound of lard, basically. But
Oh.
it's disgusting.
That'd probably not be good to follow that up with beer cheese soup.
Ugh.
Like a pound of lard and a big old beer cheese soup, sir.
Fine, I'll have the beer cheese too.
Are you sure you want that?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Anyways, let's get into it and let's talk about what we've been watching slash playing slash listening to.
Give it to him. Yeah.
Listening to. Ugh.
Who's up? I think it's you.
Yeah, I
Is
think
it
it's
you?
me. I think it's me this week. I haven't been listening to that much, but I came to a realization. Sometimes. Okay, so I have not watched this movie, but I listened to the soundtrack like all the way through. Is the Man of Steel soundtrack? I know this is
Mm-hmm.
like it's not like a band or artist or anything like that, but man, what a good freaking soundtrack! Like when I watch Mandalorian, it makes me think of it, because its theme song is like dum dum or whatever, and the Man of
Mm-hmm.
Steel theme is like a boom boom
Yeah.
boom boom, and it's just
I
so
love
good.
that build.
Yeah, the
It builds so well in the
oh
movie.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the song "Flight" specifically is
Mm-hmm.
pumping. Like that, and that part in the movie is really good. I think if every scene in the movie was half as good as that scene, I think this movie would have a completely different reputation. That scene is pretty great
Which scene is it?
when he comes out and he's like saying like they could be a great people, Kal-El, if they, it's,
Mm-hmm.
it's like sort of that kind of moment or whatever. It's like they will follow you into the sun with your help. They will accomplish wonders. And then he flies for the first time and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa! And the
That's when the
music's,
like rocks are floating next to his hands.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
music's just going. It's such a hype moment, and it's really good. There's other good parts of the movie, but that part. Anyways, I know I just talked about Man of Steel, a movie, but the soundtrack's really good. How about you? What have you been listening to?
There's a band that my wife and I kind of, when we first started dating, we were like agreed on and we're like listening to. They were kind of new back then. It's Lydia,
Oh wow,
and they
yeah.
released a single on October 30th that I'm really enjoying, which is Heavy. And yeah, I like a
Wow.
lot of stuff by Lydia, but
I did not know they
yeah,
were
the new
still
song's
around.
really good. Yeah, they had a full length album in 2018 called Liquor. That yeah, that was really good
Holy
too.
crap.
That's one of their most streamed songs. Is like the first track off that album, Sunlight.
So they've been going. They haven't really stopped. It looks like they have a
Yeah,
pretty decent.
2015. Mm-hmm. Devil. Yeah, it was 2013.
Well, hot diggity dog. I'm gonna have to take a look at
Yeah,
Lydia because I fell off Lydia and didn't really pick him back up. So I'm gonna have to.
they have a unique sound. That's what I
Mhm.
like about them. Guy's got an interesting voice.
Yeah, he does. He sounds like he's drunk a little bit. I like that. You know.
And then mix in like beats with the like alt rock.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of a cool sound. Yeah, I
absolutely.
enjoy them.
Need to get back into that. Um, so not much really this week. I mean, I haven't been playing that much. I mean, I already talked about Pokemon. I'm just playing that, kind of just biding my time before I'm able to play new consoles. But
What are you jumping into? Spider Man, I'm guessing. When you
yeah,
do.
it's gonna be the classic thing that I'm seeing everyone do. Like Astro's Playroom is pre-installed into the
Yeah.
thing, so I'm probably gonna
Mm-hmm.
play that as Spider-Man Miles Morales downloads. Got it pre-ordered
Yeah.
on the app. So whenever I plug the thing in the first time, it'll be waiting for me to start downloading it. So um yeah, that's a hint for all you guys wondering how to, if you're a digital people, how do I pre-order digital games on the for PlayStation 5? Yeah, they just, with a new app that PlayStation released, you're now able to pre-order PlayStation 5 games when you could not do
Mm.
that on the PlayStation 4 itself. Um, but yeah, that's probably my course of action. But yeah, so I've watched a few things, not a ton. Um, one thing that I thought I would bring up, I did finish. I don't know when you want to talk about this. I want to pose the question to you right now. I finished the third day,
Mm.
the HBO series. I had like 2 episodes left to go from when
Mm-hmm.
I talked to you about less. And so I was like, all right, let's do this. And so I
Mm-hmm.
sat down and I finished it. And so we could do a special section of it where we talk about it spoilery whenever you finish it, if you have finished it. But either way, I have a lot of thoughts. A
Yeah.
lot of thoughts, and I'm
I feel
ready.
like I'm gonna forget more things than I actually end up saying about that because I haven't finished it yet either, and I had a lot of thoughts about those first 3 episodes, and now I've moved on to other things for a little while, so I'll
Yeah, I'm
definitely go
fascinated.
back and finish it. I
Definitely
think I just
fascinated by
have
your
the
take.
two. because I think I watched 4. There's
Mhm.
6, right?
There's
So
6, yeah.
yeah, I just have the 2 as well. So yeah, I'll watch that soon.
Cool. And we'll talk about it more on the probably on the podcast, maybe like
Yeah.
an after show kind of deal. Um
That's good because it's like TV is something we haven't been talking about much,
yeah.
and I think that's kind of something that maybe people who enjoy, you know, more of the film, TV stuff that listen to us maybe can be like inspired to watch that and maybe follow along with what we're saying or
Mhm.
watch it, then listen to what we have to say, something
Yeah.
like that. So I'm sure there's people out there that, like you had said before, that are kind of sick of the game talk.
I know, right?
We're
It'll
almost there.
almost there. Next week will be the big holy crap, it's all here. That'll be the big thing, but
Yep.
then we'll probably start to slide back into more other forms of media.
Yeah,
Um
at least till like other big games come out
yeah, exactly. I mean,
past like Spider-Man. Yep.
yeah, cuz after that we're going to kind of run out of it's so fast,
Yeah.
we're going to
Waiting on Halo. Yeah,
exactly.
could be a while.
Mhm. I said that I had two stuff, but I actually forgot one. Um yeah, so I'm watching Mandalorian season 2. 2 episodes in right now. I'm enjoying it. It's like one of those things where it's like I always get what I expect with Mandalorian. There's no like and I think that can be a good thing and a bad thing because like I'm expecting a solid show where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go on a little mini adventure and I'm going to have a lot of fun time seeing Star Wars stuff and seeing cool characters. And that's what I get every single time. And
Hmm.
hasn't let me down yet, but at the same time it hasn't like done something where it's like after the episode was over, I'm like, "Oh my god." And I'm like thinking about it throughout the week or anything like that. I just watch it and I have a great time. So yeah, Mandalorian is
Hmm.
awesome as usual. Um but it is the one I forgot about. To let you know, this is I think we share a Voodoo account, Luke. So I went ahead and
Hmm.
bought a digital copy of Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Hmm.
It was really cheap at the time. It was like $10 for the 4K.
Had you not seen it
I
before
have
that you bought it?
I've not
Yeah.
seen this. We are kind of
It
waiting
was
on
just
it.
a little too much. I was like, oh, I want
Yeah.
to see it, but that's a little steep.
For people like us who are invested into like say Regal Unlimited, sometimes this like
Yeah, we're
time has been
spoiled.
difficult. We are spoiled. This time's
Yeah.
been difficult where it's like we'd usually be like, yeah, let's see it in theaters and just go. We're paying
Yeah.
monthly for this.
At least once.
Yeah, at least once. And so whenever it's like, only out digitally, it's like kind of difficult to.
Yeah, and some of them
Yeah.
are like over $20, and I totally get it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I feel bad for these studios, but I'm sorry, that's just a lot. People are used to streaming. They're used to paying, which is still a lot, like $12 at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Still a lot, but less than 20. And I know multiple people are going to be watching it, but
Yeah.
still feels like a lot.
Yeah, it does. Um, Bill and Ted Face the Music. Again, it was like down to like $10, and I was like, great. That's where I wanted to be pretty much. And so yeah, we dove in, we gave it a watch, and I'll say this straight up. I mean, I thought it was highly enjoyable. I was laughing pretty regularly. I'll say this though, it's something that you don't really expect for like a comedy like sequel, but yeah, it really benefits from seeing the first two movies recently. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of references. I wouldn't say it's super self-referential where they're just referencing and referencing and referencing. They do it in a really good way. And so it's not like cheap or anything like that, but you do gain a lot more enjoyment and a lot more humor out of it if you kind of know the running gag. There's like a few running
Right.
gags that I'm like, okay, now they take it in a new direction, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's really funny because you appreciate how it was used before.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend you watch Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. It's in a way, it's kind of mandatory as far as I think getting enough enjoyment out of it. I mean, it's watchable. You can understand what's going on for the most part. When if you're seeing it and
Yeah.
you haven't seen the others, but you're just not going to get the sufficient level of enjoyment that you should, I think.
Probably been a while for a lot of people. So
Yes, I think recent. See it like you need to see those movies recently. It's not going to be enough. if you like just kind of vaguely remember the plot points. I think most people know the
Yeah.
plot points. It's the
I don't
jokes.
remember a lot about what exactly happened.
Neither did I. It was very important that I went back and watched those recently to see this one. But this
Yeah.
is an easy movie. Like it's easy to recommend because I think it's easy to watch. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
short. It's not long. As a matter of fact, there's a point in the movie where I'm like, I don't think this is a spoiler at all, really, but it kind of ends abruptly where I'm like, it's over? Okay. I mean, it did all it needed to do, but okay. All right. You know how like the Transformers movies end, except obviously Transformers movies are forever long, but it's like
Yeah.
after 3 hours, yeah, Optimus will be like, Sam Witwicky, with your help, we save the universe, and it's over. But it's kind of similar to that, except this movie is like
Yeah.
under an hour and a half long, I'm pretty sure. So it's,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's very Bill and Teddy to do it that way.
definitely, and that's the thing that's impressive of this movie. It doesn't seem we've talked about this before when it comes to sequels, and sometimes like it feels like people are they're trying too hard to like tap into the magic, and I don't feel like this does that. I feel like this is like how we when we spoke about Zombieland Double Tap, how like it didn't feel like they were trying too hard, and that's what this
Hmm.
felt like. Not in a bad way, not in a lazy kind of way, but in a way where
Hmm.
he doesn't feel like labored, and you're like, wow, they're really trying to do the thing they did before. No, it's just like it kind of feels like they
Yeah.
kind of slid into it,
Seems like a hard thing to accomplish a lot of times. Hard to
Definitely.
find that magic balance.
I can imagine, especially after so much time passes, where it's like decades at this point between sequels. And it's kind of humorous how long it is. And Alex Winters and
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, they do a good job. I mean, like, what do they have to do? They just have to be goofy. And, like, obviously, they're not going to be as high energy as they are before, but it's not like
Yeah.
they're pretending to be young people. They're obviously these like old
Yeah.
dudes who are like, what are you guys doing with your lives? And so it works.
I haven't watched it, but it sounds kind of like what happens with Cobra Kai a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so.
They go with what they have, basically.
Yeah, they go with what they have. They bring in enough new stuff to where it feels fresh a little bit. And
Hmm.
yeah, it just kind of works. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it's not like,
Cool.
I don't think any Bill and Ted movie is like a perfect, like, oh my God, I'm laughing at every joke and every joke is funny. There's just something about them that's kind of endearing. And most of the jokes work. And this is kind of the same where I feel like most of the jokes I'm laughing most of the way through. And the story is ridiculous, as all of them are,
Yeah.
but easy to follow, I guess. And yeah, I recommend it. But again, with the caveat that you've watched the first two recently, and that's kind of a must. I think.
Yeah. Those kind of movies, it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you were saying, I mean, you'll just get a lot more enjoyment out of them. So
100%.
that's good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Hate when those throwback movies are just, ooh, it's just not good.
Yeah, when they come back to the sequel and the comedy, like I heard a lot, I haven't even seen it because of all the bad reception, but like Zoolander 2, it's like a while after it's over and then like comes back and people don't like it. And it's like, that's sad.
Yeah, I like that better than what I heard from other people. But
Then most, okay, that's good to hear because I'm
you
not.
know, sometimes it's personal opinion, so
Mm-hmm.
I can
Absolutely.
understand. Yep.
What you got, man? What you got for me?
Speaking of throwbacks, I'm going to throw it even farther back
Ooh.
to 1980.
Oh.
So I think we had talked about Mr. Robert Zemeckis
Yeah.
maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, but I'd watched something. Oh, it was The Frighteners, I think. I think he directed The Frighteners.
It was Jackson
Um,
who directed The Frighteners. Peter Jackson.
Hmm.
He may have produced or
Maybe
something.
he helped
though.
write it.
Yeah,
Something.
possibly.
I think he was involved with it, though.
It has a Zemeckis feel to it, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's executive producer.
Ooh.
Anyways, so I watched his first movie. Well, at least it's his first producer credit. There's a TV short. Oh, maybe they did a TV short based on the movie. So it's Used Cars. So this is
Used Cars.
Kurt Russell starring. That's probably the only person you're gonna recognize. I recognize some of these guys' faces.
Uh-huh.
Jack Warden is the other one. I kind of recognize his face.
Looking it up.
Garrett Graham is this guy Jeff in the movie, and yeah, I kind of recognize his face, but there's a lot of people where it's like, I think I've seen you in something, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's the Kurt Russell show for sure. You know, if they made box art, it would have Kurt Russell just standing directly in the middle of the cover art, and yeah, that'd be the reason you'd pick it up and be like, "What's this?"
Kurt Russell,
So,
yay.
I was going through Robert Zemeckis movies, talking about, I don't remember, something else with my dad, and I mentioned used cars, and he's like, "Oh, I remember seeing that in theaters back in 1980," and I thought that
Mm.
was hilarious. So I love to watch old movies. It's just one of my favorite things. And by old, I mean like mid 70s to like, I don't know, 2000 or something. I feel like anything after 2000 at this point is pretty old. It's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy. We're 20 years out now.
I know.
But so yeah, like 90s, 80s, some 70s. After that it gets a little old. I mean, I'll watch anything. I mean, my favorite movie is from the freaking 20s. So
It's those 2000s movies that really get you, that you like think of them as new
yeah.
almost because they came out
Yeah.
in your lifetime when you were
Yeah.
like in high
Like The
school.
Mask or something. It's like,
Yeah.
that was that long ago.
Like we watched Narnia, the Chronicles of Narnia recently, and me thinking like in my head, yeah, this is like, newish. And then watching and like,
Hmm.
oh, when did this come out? 2005? And some
Yeah.
of the effects, and oh, this person's young, and oh, it's like stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like it probably happens for a lot of people, that period in your like high school, college. It's like that period is kind of important. You make a lot of memories in those times, and like then you don't do a lot afterwards. You kind of become settled, you get married,
Yeah.
you kind of settle yourself, and you're not like doing as much, like meeting people, like moving different schools and stuff. And so like, yeah, it's like the time just kind of flies by after that, and you remember like that time so well. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know what you're saying. Anyways, used cars. 1980. It's a tale of like, Kurt Russell is a used car salesman on this like ridiculous lot. Like, probably what sets the mood in the movie for what you're gonna see is him right at the beginning, in like the very first shot. He's rolling back the odometer on a car. And it just shows that like he rolls back like 120,000 miles on this car.
So does
And
that work?
I mean, I'm sure it worked in 1980. It probably
Uh-huh.
doesn't work in
The old
2020.
Ferris Bueller trick or whatever.
And the bumper falls off, and he sticks it up with gum. So like, you know what
Uh-huh.
you're in for, like once you see that. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's that. It's just ridiculousness from the start and all the way through to the end. And they kind of develop what is the like plot. And yeah, it's I don't want to talk about too much about what happens, just because it's kind of fun to watch it yourself. Not really, it's not anything to do with a spoiler. It's kind of fun to see it,
Mhm.
actually happen. So yeah, just overall, just a super, super goofy movie that is, old. And I think it still makes me laugh. There's some stuff in there that's just like, okay, a little bit of face palmy. There's some nudity that is just like, what, completely
Zemeckis,
unneeded.
huh?
So yeah, it's good. I enjoyed it. I'm a sucker for old movies, and so I forgive them for things that people would probably
Yeah.
criticize them in their day for a lot more. So yeah, just overall, Kurt Russell being Kurt Russell, he feels like the you know computer that wore sneakers. Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
He feels slightly older than that, but basically that old Kurt Russell that us
Mhm.
children of the 80s and 90s know too well.
It's interesting because with Kurt Russell, it's like now these days you don't really think of him as like a comedic actor, but yeah, you're right. Back in the day when
Yeah,
he was
he
in
was in so many
stuff,
goofy things.
yeah, like in his Disney stuff, he was in a lot of Disney like quirky comedies back in like the
Hmm.
70s and stuff like that. But and so it's yeah, like oh yeah, I guess he was like a comedy guy before he was in stuff like The Thing and Escape from New
Yeah,
York
Escape from LA. Yeah,
and now he's like in
exactly.
this weird fringe area where it's like kind of funny to see him, but you still kind of take him seriously. Like when he shows up in a Quentin Tarantino movie, for instance. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's an interesting actor. I like him.
he is. Yeah, he's kind of developed into this like action guy.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, it's a good one. If you want to see what he used to be like back in 1980,
Is it streaming anywhere?
watch used cars. No, I paid for it.
Oh,
I rented it on the Apple. They have it for $3 on Prime, so
nice.
not bad. It's certainly no 20 or 30.
Oof. Can
God,
you
however
imagine?
much the freaking Disney was charging for Mulan. Crazy,
$30. Goodness gracious.
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't really watched anything else new. I've been watching some Schitt's Creek. That's kind of been our thing that we've just been sitting down, eating meals too, and watch it before we go to bed. Just I've been wanting to watch some lighthearted stuff and watch so much of The Office. We did that whole stream of Parks and Rec, and yeah, Schitt's Creek's right in there with like my like core like what maybe 5, 6, 7 like comedy shows that I just
Hmm.
really enjoy,
I
and
just
it's
need to
on
watch
Netflix,
it,
so it's
man.
like super easy to get into, and yeah, it's another one where I enjoy it because it's unique, and it's a good shtick that they came up with that show, just like
Mm.
putting these snobby, super rich people in this tiny little town in this dump of a motel, and like just having them live life, and just the funny dynamic of good actors, actresses playing, these snobby people while there's like regular people around, and just
Hmm.
how they see the world is so different than how the regular people see the world. And yeah.
How many seasons did it run?
Oh.
Did it?
Mm,
Not
I
that,
would
not like a
guess
ton, right?
5.
Yeah, something. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like to me.
They I think they kind of had a vision. I'm blanking on the name of the guy and his son, the dude that most people probably know from American Pie. Him and his son
Eugene
started.
Levy.
Yeah, it's really his son who really did kind of everything. He had the vision. I watched some of the behind the scenes thing, and he kind of came to his dad and like proposed the idea. Yeah, his son's so good. Like I look forward to what he's gonna do in the future. Dan Levy. He just he's very creative. I'm afraid he's gonna be more of a writer type, so we
Mm.
may not see him on the screen as much. But hey, that's fine.
Yeah, it might be for the best. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll do some directing, and it seems like writers like to get good at their craft and writing, and then start to ease over into the directing fam. But honestly, he's a good actor too. He really plays his character very well. He's super sarcastic. It's just yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. And Catherine O'Hara, I mean, she's legendary actress, so
Hmm.
she's done so many things. And her and Eugene Levy, like you can just tell that they're like super. Like in another world, I could see them getting married or something. I don't know them personally, but like their chemistry, they seem like they're kind of a match, and how they are and their personalities and their acting styles. So yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
even mean to talk about that, but yeah, you should watch that,
I
Jordan.
know
It's 6 seasons. I just looked at it, so
it's been
80
wrecking to
episodes.
me left and right. I need to just do it. I've been needing a
Yeah,
comedy, so yeah, I just do it. And yeah, as
yeah,
you said, being on Netflix, that's super convenient. It's so crazy Netflix. I mean, like it's still unmatched as far as how it's like almost like it's
yeah,
running on the Xbox Series X for all these years, because of how quick it is, just going
yeah.
doink doink, like play. It's playing, and not like you're not staring
Hmm.
at some load screen forever. Sometimes it plays too quick, where you just go, I don't know what's this movie about. Oh crap, it's playing,
Yeah.
and so Netflix is
I wish
ridiculous.
they'd knock back a little bit on that.
Yeah,
That
maybe
is
slow
annoying.
down a little bit and maybe wait for me.
Yeah, it is amazing the deals that they seem to broker.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty incredible. The other one is honestly, I don't know how much I have to say about this, but you never know. I end up saying way more than I think.
Yeah.
So PUBG, I updated that game and jumped into it for like maybe 4 games, 5 games. I was just kind of bored of the same games, and like we've said, we're kind of waiting on new games to come out. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've played Call of Duty way too much. So yeah, playing a little bit of PUBG, it's just it there's so many things that are familiar about that game, and yet there are so many things that are new when you jump into it now in 2020. This was a game that came out in 2017. For people who don't know the history, it came out on Windows via Steam as a beta in March of 2017,
Yeah.
and then the full beta release was in December 2017. And if I remember right, I think it didn't come to the Xbox until that December.
Hmm.
And it was game preview, which is basically the same as a beta. And you could really tell when it came out that it was beta. And I've complained about this before. It's the same crap that people who know this game know. It's the
Yeah.
buildings not loading, and it's the getting stuck in walls and having to quit the game because of it. It's but at the core of it, for all the complaints, there was a game there that a lot of people enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's definitely a first person shooter game. If you don't like well, there's third person, but you aim down the sights with first person. So I consider it a first person game. It's third person for movement, but then when you're actually in a battle, you switch to first person. So it's this weird mashup of the two first and third person shooter genres. Um, but yeah, there was a core game there that people really enjoyed. It was that they had this super realistic take on a shooter that you didn't see as much. You saw it a little bit with like Rainbow Six and I'm blanking on that massive shooter on PC. Not enough of a PC gamer
Counter
to
Strike
remember.
or
Counter Strike, yeah. Thank you. So like you saw a little bit with Counter Strike, but even Counter Strike is like super twitchy. It's very
yeah.
realistic, and like you basically get hit like once or twice, you're dead. But PUBG is very much you move like a human moves.
Hmm.
You run a little bit faster when you're like sprinting than a normal person would. Somebody did the measurement. I was like, you're running at 25 miles an hour. That's unheard of. When a game becomes popular, people dork out over it. So
Yeah, game
people
theory,
complain about the silliest things.
No.
But yeah, there was a core game there that was super replayable. I think I said it a couple weeks ago. Like I had a core uh, few guys that I'd met through another friend that we all like played for probably more than a year. We were playing, every few nights we'd jump on together and play for an hour or something like that, and it was a lot of fun. So I have a lot of great memories from PUBG. A lot of
Yeah.
irritants about it, but a core game that was really cool. They had a great idea, but it just never got developed in the way that I think it could have benefited from a lot.
Yeah.
You jump into Call of Duty and it's just like this is a different world. You can tell. Like I don't know if it's just it feels like whatever the game was built on, PUBG, was just this old thing that they've just tried to push as far as they can, make it as cool as it
Yeah.
can. Whereas like Call of Duty, you can tell it was just built on like it's like you put some like futuristic like Mercedes on the street, whereas like PUBG is like this super souped up, really nice like 1980s Mercedes.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's a really cool car, but I can tell it's really old.
It's breaking down a lot,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Like, that's really awesome what you have there, but how old is that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's like a PS3 game, kind of, you're just like,
yeah, it feels a little bit like that. But
yeah.
having said that, so I jumped back in. They've had a lot of updates. They have all these new maps I don't even recognize. They started on this one map, and they slowly added a few more, and they were really cool. I think they were improvements, and now they have like all these maps and stuff loads right in, like draw distances. There's like fog effects, and
Oh, wow.
like it's just so much improved. Like, yeah, just in every way it's improved. But it's still, like I said, you can tell it's a souped up, like hoopty of a game. Like I said, there's a lot of cool things about it, but it's not a new game. It really needs to be PUBG 2. I mean, that's really what we need.
Yes.
It's like if Destiny was still on vanilla Destiny 1
Ooh.
and you were like trying to like do new things with that. It's like, guys, that was an awesome game in its day, but it needs a sequel. So, yeah, I think that's what I came away from it thinking. Like, I wish the controls were better. I feel like I'm in like knee deep in mud, like trying to trudge through like these controls. I jump over to Call of Duty and it's like I can do whatever I want as fast as I want. Where in PUBG, it's like, oh, I could have killed him. I could have gotten that shot, but the controls are so laggy. And it's like they have weird things where like instead of aiming down the sights by pulling the left trigger, you have to tap it. And it's like, that's just not
Yeah.
intuitive.
I
You
remember
play
that.
all other games and it's just not that way. So it's like, don't force me to go into the controls and change it to how it should be. Have it that way by default. And if people don't like that, then they can change. But,
Yeah.
have the default be what everyone knows and loves. So, anyways, yeah,
What do you
good and bad
think
with PUBG. It's still that way. A lot of improvements, but yeah.
what do you think the future might be for PUBG? Do you think there might be a PUBG 2 or do you think it's just going to kind of always be this?
Yeah, I was a lot more involved with like news coming out of PUBG back in the day. What is the very large company from China that has bought up like many of the mobile developers? Tencent.
Mm.
So Tencent developed the mobile version. Um, and yeah, the developer is PUBG Corporation, and I believe they are owned by this video game company out of South Korea called Bluehole. They're a subsidiary of Bluehole.
Okay.
So I think what there was a rumor to where the mobile version of PUBG was actually better than the PC version of PUBG,
Mm.
and so there were a lot of people thinking that maybe what they were going to do. Oh, you know what it was? That's what it was. The major thing people saw was that Bluehole had another company that came out with a battle royale game that was a futuristic version of PUBG that had some different things, but essentially it was PUBG battle royale in the future, and it ran a lot better, looked a lot better, and they were thinking that maybe they would take the PUBG skeletal bones and transfer it over to this new game, and they were
Mm.
just making this new game as like a test bed to like beta test it to just see like, okay, do we have a good skeletal system, and then we'll just say new and improved PUBG. But that was 2 years ago, so that didn't seem like it ever really happened. So I really don't know. I feel like it's been a little mismanaged, honestly. It was so big. Like I even thought like why hasn't Xbox just bought this at this point? Like it's
Yeah.
so big. They could pull them in, they could help develop the next PUBG, and I kind of feel like it was maybe a missed opportunity for Xbox, but maybe even more so as a missed opportunity for PUBG Corp or Bluehole, whoever, you know,
Whoever's
whichever
steering
one
the
you want to
ship.
say. But because it was really big for a short time, and I think it could have developed. It's such a known quantity at this point. I mean, it swept the world, but then it really got
Yeah.
overshadowed by everything else. So I really don't know what's going to happen at this point, honestly, because I feel like their value high point was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, maybe even. It was honestly, I felt like it was bigger when it was a beta, and that's sad to
Hmm.
say,
Yeah.
but it never really took off after it was full release because there was so many other games that were coming out. There was Apex Legends, Fortnite was burning the world down at that point, and then Call of Duty's entered the market with their blackout mode, and now Warzone seems like it's just
Yep.
the thing that anybody who's not playing Fortnite plays. So yeah, I don't know. I think they would have to do something really big to gain the attention again,
Yeah.
and I don't know that they can do it at this point. I think they just missed their window. They said, "Oh, we have all these bugs. We need to focus our energy on the bugs." And I don't know if they should have done that. I think they should have
Hmm.
just said, "Can we sell our property to someone? Can we try to make some money so that somebody else can develop this into something more serious? Something that can contend with the bigger, you know, Activision style backed games, Epic games." But yeah, that never happened. So I don't know. If somebody buys them, I have hopes that they could come out with something really cool.
Hmm.
But otherwise, I just don't think they have enough oomph to to gain attention again. So I
Yeah.
think it's a sad story.
I think it is too. I like you, even though I've never gotten strong into PUBG, can see that okay, there is something special about it. Not to the point where it's like, oh well, why would you play this when you can play Apex or whatever? I'm like, well, no, there's something really different about it that
Yeah.
sets it apart, and
Hmm.
it is kind of
Yeah.
sad to see it kind of maybe fizzle out a little bit, especially when we as further away we move from it. It seems the more I don't know, kind of forgotten it's become in a way.
Definitely.
But anywho, time to move on into our topic. I mean, as we say, each episode, the hype train keeps a rolling, and we're on the no longer on the precipice of destiny. It's pretty much here. I mean, the hype train is rolling into the station, and we're in hype
Yeah.
town pretty much. I mean,
Ready to open that box.
yeah, full disclosure. I mean, here we are. It's when you're listening to it, it's going to be Tuesday. We record on Mondays, but on Tuesday, when you're listening to this will be the day of launch for the Xbox Series X and S. And yeah, a lot of people are going to be playing it, but I think like most people, I will say most people, especially during this time, like most, we are going to be waiting on our shipments. So yeah.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick before we move into kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit, and which is basically just kind of a look back and saying goodbye. Let's talk about the state we're in right now when it comes to getting our promised systems.
Yeah, where are you at, Jordan?
Where am I at? I mean, okay, so I'm waiting for the Series S, and yeah, I'm my situation with that. Okay, so funny story actually. There's a little bit of an update to the Series S story. So we told everyone about our horror story with pre-orders, right?
Yep,
And so
nightmare.
yeah, so what happened was I was, to my knowledge, I was unsuccessful at pre-ordering it anywhere but at Target, which was a surprise to me because I only noticed the email at the end because the sites were so glitchy. I had no idea if it
Yeah.
even worked. So
Mhm.
yeah, here I am. I've been kind of watching this pre-order. And so the other day, we're going through the financials with me and my wife. And my wife's looking at the bank account. She's like, okay, so I see this $320 charge from Target. What about this $300 charge from Microsoft?
Hmm.
And I was like, excuse me?
Nice.
Excuse me? All right. And so, basically we're in that kind of mode where we're like, okay, we're looking at our financials. We're going, oh no. She's like, what is this? Jordan, you ordered 2 consoles. Like, it was a mistake. I didn't even know I was at the place order page when I was at Microsoft. I didn't even think I got far enough to even get close to that, but apparently I did. But I made a mistake here. So what my mistake was, I had a lot of security in that Target pre-order. So I was like, no, I ordered it through Target, not Microsoft. And I went ahead and canceled my Microsoft pre-order basically to loosen it up to where it's free in the wild or whatever. And so yeah, what I kind of realized is if I just canceled the Target one and let the Microsoft one come to me, I would have gotten it on launch day because yeah, I would have just gotten it on launch day. And and it was only literally moments after I hit that cancel button where I kind of came to that realization.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's fine. I'm going to get it obviously, but I would have gotten it probably several days sooner.
Yeah.
If I would have just stuck with Microsoft. But I was like, oh shoot, But it is what it is. At this point, it's early when it comes to it's shipped.
They already charged you?
Target has been charging okay, so Microsoft just charged me once. From what I can tell, it's just.
But when did they charge you? Just recently?
When it shipped, when it was getting ready to ship,
Hmm.
and so that was last week. And so I would have gotten to me at this point, likely. And so they only charged me when it shipped, and my Target's been charging me, taking it back, charging me, taking it back for the last 2 months.
What?
And so only now it has charged me a final time when it is
so
shipped.
Weird.
Yeah. So it has shipped, but who really knows when it might get here. On the long side, it'll be here Monday. Other than that, it could be here sooner. It's just at that point where it's like, here you go, FedEx, is where it's at. And so
yeah,
it's hard to say exactly. It's still pending as far as when it will actually get to me. But the longest will be Monday. That being said, that's a good thing. So hopefully I might have it at least a little bit before we hit record next week. So I might have something to say about the Series S. I don't know. We'll see.
That would be nice.
Other than that, my situation with the PlayStation 5 is it's pre-ordered at GameStop. I don't really have to worry about any of this shipping stuff because I pre-ordered it in store. A few days after we recorded last week, I got a call from GameStop. It was the local GameStop. It was like, "Hey, this is Jordan Williams." I was like, "Yes, we have received. You have your pre-order for PlayStation 5. Just to let you know, we're opening at 10 o'clock a.m. a little bit earlier, so you can swing by, pick it up. You have 48 hours to do so, or else we're gonna sell it to someone else." I
Mm,
was like, "Okay, all right,
scary.
yeah, that is scary. Well, oh no, I hope nothing happens to me." But but yeah, so I'll be there in the morning on Thursday the 12th, a couple days from when you're hearing this, to pick that up, and yeah, I'll be diving right into that. But how about you, Luke? What's going on with the X?
So Amazon all along has just said we've received your order, and they sent me an email that there was going to be some delays. I know some other people said there were going to be just some delays, but what's scaring me about my order is nothing has changed ever since then. So I'm really losing faith that this is a true pre-order. I think what this actually was that they sold out of their entire first wave of consoles, or on, their entire pre-orders of their first wave of consoles, and now I have a reserved spot for the next wave of shipments that they're eventually going to get. I certainly don't know that, but just the way I'm seeing other people on the news on the internet talk about it, it feels that way. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty frustrated about that because obviously I've bought one for my friend, and he's actually coming down, so I'm gonna feel inclined to give it to him so I don't
Yeah,
have to ship it to him. But yeah, so at this point, like um, the Xbox purchase from Best Buy is saying they're going to ship it tomorrow. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm guessing I'll probably get it hopefully by the end of the week or something.
yeah.
I have found that my purchases through Best Buy, especially like with my TV, have been very fast. Usually the day before it's actually supposed to be there, it gets there. I was doing store pickup, which I honestly would have rather done this time, but after I bought it, they didn't even let me change anything, so I couldn't
Hmm.
even select that, which I would have been happy to, but I couldn't. So yeah, I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get my Best Buy order, but I'm feeling very unconfident about my Amazon order. So I'm actually like reading IGN's things on how to maybe buy one tomorrow. I'm seeing that some of these places are going to have them on sale at midnight, like Walmart is
Yeah.
going to have them in stock at midnight. GameStop is saying they'll have very limited number. Best Buy is saying they'll be limited, but you won't be able to get them in store. You'll have to order them online. So I don't know. I'll probably try to, you know, thumb around online and
Yeah.
see if there's anything I can find. I don't have a lot of faith that I will, but I would love to cancel that Amazon order if I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
put another order in. So
That's
yeah,
extremely
kind of
frustrating.
frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of crappy as far as Amazon is concerned. There should be complete transparency that if you pre-order the thing, you've pre-ordered it. It's not there's no, oh
Yeah.
well, sort of. There's no, not, we don't actually
Yeah.
have it. It's like,
Being that they have no estimated date, it's like if it was a pre-order, you guys would know. It's like you're going to get it Friday or you're going to get it Thursday or whatever.
yeah,
But just saying nothing's like, okay, guys, really?
it reminds me of that scene in a classic Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way, where they win a contest on a radio show and the host is like,
You get a coupon.
exactly. You believe I have a Turbo Man doll here in the studio? Or whatever.
Of course we do.
What you get is a voucher.
Ugh,
Is that Amazon right now? Is that what they're doing?
it feels like it.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's hard to argue with that assessment. I'm hearing, yeah, emails going out saying, hey, you will get your either PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series, whatever, before December 31st. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, really?
Yeah.
That is strange to promise someone something that they don't have, and to say, well, we'll get it eventually. That's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like that as a practice. I feel like that is kind of almost shady dealings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but maybe there's a chance I'll get one tonight.
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. Just keep
I'll
your
get
eyes
one
up.
eventually.
Wario 64, man. Wario 64. Turn on the
Yeah.
notifications and pray for luck. I mean, hopefully it's not as like because of maybe a more random nature of it all. Maybe it's less likely for bots to snatch everything up at a certain time like it was with when the initial pre-orders were like, oh, 11 o'clock. All right,
Yeah.
program the bots. You know.
The page on Best Buy I just checked has changed. Before it said like sold out. Now it says coming soon.
Hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah. So I guess they're hoping to get some really soon. So yeah, I see that
I
coming
feel like
soon.
we're just like guessing. It's
And
like,
yeah, it's what else can you do?
you know,
It's difficult. I mean, I'm glad we have the internet like we do right now. I mean, I remember when like days of the PlayStation 2 and even those Nintendo Wii with its scarcity, there was a lot of just going store to store and asking.
mhm.
The
Isn't that
dark
crazy?
ages. And now we're just kind of looking online and seeing what we find. Crazy stuff. But yeah, I'm still super hyped. I'm ready. I got some of my accessories. I got the I don't know if you can say I got the remote, the media remote. I got the HD camera for the PlayStation 5. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, a lot of that they shipped a lot of that stuff early, like a couple weeks early. So that's interesting as far as why you do that, but cool.
Yeah.
Get it out of the way. Don't have to worry about it on on the launch day. But anyways, what I thought we would do before the train rolls into the stations, kind of take a look back at this generation specifically, as far as like kind of what characterized this generation and like what were some great moments for us personally and great games personally that we enjoyed this generation. But something I did want to kind of ask you and bring up is how long was it when when the Xbox One came out? Was it 2015? No, that can't be right. It was like
2013.
Dang, man. Holy crap. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the launch of the Xbox One. You getting it, your experience getting it, booting it up, and your kind of like impressions of it when you were getting it and the excitement that you were feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just I was just so ready to get something that could do all. I didn't even understand what all it could do extra, but
Yeah.
it was just like I know that new Halo is going to be coming out. I know that this is going to be able to do like full HD, which is probably one of the biggest moves with like the Xbox One from 360. Like so many of the games were literally standard def or, you know, the sad excuse for HD that was
Yeah.
720p at that point, and that really was one of the biggest things I noticed immediately. Like the graphics obviously were much improved, but finally being able to like plug in an HDMI cord instead of having the old, what did you even call it, component cables.
Yeah,
That's what I
component.
had for the
Yeah.
longest time in my old TVs. And there is something to be said about the difference between an analog signal and a digital signal being sent into a TV or an audio
Mhm.
device. It makes a significant difference. People who aren't geeks like me, may not realize it, but it really does. When you plug in a digital signal, you can tell it's a lot cleaner. There's no crackling. It's crisp, and that's certainly true of the video. There was a thing with the component cables where they would get noise over the line and you'd be able to see lines in the screen
Mhm.
because of that. And yeah, there's definitely none of that with HDMI. I guess it's a shielded cable or whatever, you get better cables, you get, a better signal, but yeah, that was a huge thing. It was just, wow, this thing moves fast.
Yeah.
This thing, sends out this higher resolution, and I don't actually know, back then it wasn't, this big competition about frame rate, but
There wasn't the
It
conversation
was
at
a
the
lot
time.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, there was such a low bar for how many frames these consoles could push. It
Yeah,
just
it runs
wasn't
30,
as big of a
right? And
deal.
that's the thing. If you go 30
Yeah.
frames, that's kind of it. And as long as you don't see stutter, then everything's fine. And there was not a lot of ambition to push the limit there. But you brought up something I thought was a very something that a lot of people forget is the fact that it was component cables with the shipped Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. What it shipped with
Hmm.
are ones that had component cables only. It was like HD ish is kind of like what we're saying.
Yeah,
It was like a
definitely.
few steps below, you could say. And so yeah, it was. I mean, they'd come out with iterations that had HDMI ports, but what you got in launch was not that. And so if you got it at launch, that's what you had. And so very interesting. And then yeah, it is kind of a big deal when you get this new console. Like, oh, thank God. Enough of that.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a big move, and yeah, it's such a bigger I don't know, it's such a bigger thing now because we know what we're getting, we know what our expectations are set so high because we're saying, okay, we're the big move to, solid 60 that's never going to dip, and no more of the screen tearing and the
Yeah.
blurred movement and just all the things that have kind of plagued the consoles because honestly they're just it's different back in 2013. What the I want to say the 360 came out off the top of my head in 2006.
Yeah. I think
So we
so.
had between 2006 and 2013, and technology was just it was moving fast at that point. So by the time the end of the 360 came, it felt like a pretty old console. And then, it was such a big improvement to the Xbox One. And I would say we're at that same place where, obviously there's been jumps. You're on a PS4 Pro, I'm on a day one console, but there's, the Series X, the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
These names are garbage. um, and there's been that big upgrade to the Xbox One S, and even that was like significantly more powerful than the day one Xbox One. I don't even think people really realize that because Microsoft did not make a huge thing out of it. But when the what people I don't think fondly like to refer to as the VCR Xbox One,
Yeah.
which is the one that I have, which was significantly larger than the S and
When it
the
came with
the
the
X
Connect.
now. It did come with the Connect, and
Hmm.
I have it safely in a drawer. It's not collecting dust. I keep it nice and clean.
Oh, that's good. Very nice of you.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, especially for me, it's super long in the tooth, and I think it'll feel a lot like it did when I moved from my. I think I had a launch 360 when I moved to the
Yeah.
Xbox One, and yeah, it was hugely different. But yeah, so I pre-ordered back then in the summer of 2013, and then I received it on day one, shipped to my house. I was able to open the box, and yeah, that was just awesome. It
Hmm.
was so cool to get a console on day one like that, and yeah, I think it shows you how much less of a demand there was. We've talked about this before that it wasn't even really a problem for me. It shipped from Microsoft, got there on day one. I had no trouble pre-ordering when I pre-ordered, and
God.
I had saved up some money back then and was able to buy it. And yeah, just such a different experience than it has been this time. And just I'm saying this from a place right now where I'm just frustrated. I'm so frustrated at the fact that I'm not going to get to play my new console tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to go to GameStop like you're going to be able to with the PlayStation. Just grab it, and I think it's on the retailers for not doing this right. Like I'm
Yep.
someone who's a fanatic about it, and I was there from the very moment the pre-orders went live, and I feel like I've kind of gotten screwed. So I'm just very frustrated right now.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll be over it eventually, but at the moment, I wish I had been dealt a better deal of cards.
It's extremely frustrating. And why wouldn't you? Oh, order successful. There it is on Amazon. Amazon is, I mean, we're dipping on Amazon a lot right now, but usually ordering the thing from Amazon means it's secured, it's ordered, and it will be there quick. And so with this, it is like, wow, you were ill prepared and you made some decisions that you should not have made, is
I know.
what it says to me. And so, yeah, it's like you'd think Amazon, like, so I remember thinking, oh man, I wish I got mine from Amazon. And like, God, yeah, it's very
No, you don't.
frustrating. Yeah, I guess I don't. I guess not. But, so yeah, I mean, with the PlayStation 4, I did not get it at launch, but I got it soon after. It was kind of strange. It was, again, as you said, how much of a difference it was. It wasn't, they weren't ultra hard to find at the time. You might not see them like piled up, but you go into a store, you have a pretty decent chance of finding one. Maybe like a month or two after launch was when I got it. I got maybe
different.
Yeah, I got maybe like a month after launch, and it was almost like on a whim kind of thing. I was like, you know what? I think I do want this. I think it looks cool. I do want this. And so I ended up getting it. And yeah, it's very exciting, very cool. As you said, it looks great, and it's fast. It's it got the HDMI port. But that being said, dude, I remember just feeling like, what am I gonna do on this? Like, yeah, it's such a different feeling than I have right now. It's like I know what I'm getting myself into, but when I got the PlayStation 4, I was like, what am I gonna do to this? I had a bunch of games on the PlayStation 3, worthless. Didn't mean anything. If I want to play them, I need to hook up the PlayStation 3. I still have the PlayStation 3. I still have that PlayStation 3, and every now and then, there's a few games that are only on there still. But yeah, it was very much there's not really anything here. There was a free game that was actually pretty popular for a while called Resogun.
Mm-hmm. Remember you talking about this.
Pretty fun. But you can't play a game like Resogun in like for any long period of time. It's not like, oh man, Resogun, what a launch game. Yeah. People admire that game, and with good reason. It's a solid game, but man. So anyways, and I remember thinking, okay, what's the next big game coming out? I'm not going to get Knack. I just don't feel like buying Black Flag on this or Call of Duty Ghosts.
Right.
So
see, that was my big one.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that you got that at launch, didn't you? Was that your like big game you played when you put?
That was the big one I remember playing and being like, yeah, this feels next gen. A lot of people rag on that game, but I actually enjoyed the multiplayer. I thought it was a decent game. What is going on? I have this bottle here that keeps
popping,
expanding and popping. Yeah, it didn't have any campaign to write home about really, but yeah, it had some good multiplayer, and that was a game where it was like, this feels so much better. I can tell there's so many more frames. This is crisp, higher resolution, better graphics, much more detail. And I think any game, literally any game at this point would like blow that game away. I mean, 7 years old, so
of course
you would hope so. But yeah, I think there's going to be games that we play like that. I think Valhalla is really going to blow people away this time.
Agreed. I think like it was the same thing. Cause I remember like seeing the PlayStation 4 version of Black Flag and being like, oh, I see. This does look quite crisp. It looks like it's moving really well, and I think it's going to be a similar.
But that was a crossover game.
Exactly, that was a cross-gen game, and I think it's going to be, as you said, similar with Valhalla. If you're used to things on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you're going to see that on the X and the 5 and be like, oh, so okay, wow, yeah, it's at native 4K and moving at 60, maybe some ray tracing. Very cool.
Not only that, but Black Flag was Assassin's Creed 3. It was Assassin's Creed 3. It was literally the same game, but they just put it in the Caribbean and added ships. And, it was basically just an expansion of 3, but made into a full game. So
I remember being so shocked when hearing about Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's like I almost was like, No, this is DLC, right? Because I thought
Yeah,
it was so soon after 3.
it was.
It blew my
I
mind.
remember that because I was like in the middle of playing 3. I was like, "There's another game."
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, basically the PlayStation 4 getting it, even though I was happy to have it, was a waiting game until Infamous Second Son came out. That was for me. That was my launch game, and it came a couple months after I even got the thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean,
I
this.
remember you really enjoying that.
Oh yeah, I love that game. It was the first game I've ever platinumed. Um, but looking back on it and looking now to where we're at, man, I think this launch for both the X Series X and the PlayStation 5 is just, I think we've got it made in the shade. I really do. I mean, there's games on our backlog on last gen that we're gonna pop into this next gen
Mhm.
console, and they look great. The same kind of boost, probably the Black Flag version got. We're gonna get that sort of
Yeah.
thing at
Hmm.
launch. I mean, that's ridiculous. The fact that for for both PlayStation and Xbox, if you have No Man's Sky already, when the day one you download. That was funny. Whoop. I didn't know you had an automatic tripod, Luke. Sorry, camera shenanigans. Um, but like from day one, you download No Man's Sky or whatever, and oh, you're getting that same thing. Oh crap! It's running 4K 60, which that
Oh
game
yeah.
right now is so far from 4K 60, and so the fact that
And it could do for that. It
oh,
could
it
use
really
that.
could. There's a lot of jitters in that game, and so the fact that that's coming and that's going to be day one, and if you probably already have it, if you have an Xbox and you probably have Game Pass, you definitely have it. That's awesome, and that's just one of many, many examples of that sort of thing that we get just opening day, and that's just awesome. You know,
Oh yeah.
just thinking back on the day one situation with those consoles, and I think like, and that's just. And as I said, remember I told you I had to wait months until freaking and Infamous came out. And now I know we spent the entire episode complaining about it last week, but heavens help us, we're probably going to get Cyberpunk next week. And I guess that is technically a last gen game, but still,
Not next week.
I'm sorry, next
In
month.
December.
Next
Yeah.
month. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But used to be next week.
Oh, wish.
Used to be next week.
Want to play it so bad.
Yeah, in all of these games that we're getting, like Watchdog Legions and yeah, Valhalla. This is a pretty great launch, I think, and of course every game from last gen coming with us, tons of them running and looking better.
Oh yeah.
Heck to the
Yeah,
yes.
and like you said, just the fact that we can just play it. We just play like all these games that
Yeah,
before it was just yeah. It was like, what do I do with this?
exactly. Here's this PlayStation 3 over here. I mean, and it's
Yeah.
still over there. You have your 360 stuff you can just take with you still. Here, I'm still
Oh,
like, here's this PS3 with a cell processor over here. I got as my
yeah,
upstairs Blu-ray player.
yeah.
Pretty much, really, that's it. Aside from playing Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, that's pretty much it.
Well, at least it seems like they've solved that problem
They really have. And
for
so
the
that
future.
most of those games, I'm complaining about that, but most of those games that I would be like, oh man, wish I had my PlayStation 3 for this or whatever. Most of those games, with very few exceptions, have been ported over. So the PlayStation 3 has just almost been rendered useless. Like I want that to happen. I want the PlayStation 3 to be rendered useless, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Um, a couple things I want to ask you, like as far as things that you think have kind of we've touched on it a little bit, like things like frame rate and and I guess just full HD and all that stuff. What are some other things you think have kind of characterized this generation as far as, oh wow, this generation did innovate in this way and it's only going to innovate further moving forward?
Just I mean the move to the internet, like everything is now online enabled, and that was so far from true in the 360
Mhm.
age. I mean, we were still the 360 basically had some online games that had some features. I mean, I remember it was such a big thing. It started in the Xbox where it had that orange band across. It said Xbox Live enabled,
Yeah.
and then 360, Xbox Live Gold needed, or something like that. It said, but essentially, you were playing your games in the same way you were playing your SNES games. Like, you brought
Yeah.
your console home, you put in your cartridge, you put in your disc in the 360 version, and you played your game. It was the same thing we had done with GameCube, with Xbox, with PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
But this new generation has been completely different. And the reason why there's so many people trying to order a PlayStation 5, a Xbox Series X, is because of that, because of online games, because
Yeah.
these game manufacturers have found an audience that never existed before, because it's a communal thing, because it's interacting with, fans who watch your stream. It's like absolutely none of that existed. I mean,
No.
sure, a little bit, but it didn't exist even 1/100th of the scale of what it exists now.
No,
It
it's
was
like
2013. It wasn't that long ago. It's crazy to
no.
think, but it's such a different world now.
You like think about the
Especially
UIs and like the UI of the Xbox 360 and the UI of the PlayStation 3. Like you log into those, it feels like you're just in your own little world. You're not really, you don't
Mhm.
feel connected until you go into the store, until you go into online mode. But now with the 1 and the 4, if you're just constantly like, oh, you're online, you're online. Oh, your friend's online. Oh, this is happening. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, get this game.
Yep.
Stuff like that. It's always happening. You feel like you're connected constantly, which, yeah, I guess you said was not a thing. Not really.
No, not even close. Games like Fortnite would have been laughed at. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play some game like the idea of Fortnite was that you were in this like survival zombie world where you shoot people. And the online thing was honestly kind of a second thought for them.
Yeah. That's right.
And they tripped and landed face first
Oops.
in
We're
the
rich.
biggest video
Yeah.
game success story ever. I mean, period,
Yeah.
ever. There's absolutely nothing like it. And I will say, I think another trend that Fortnite has been right at the head of is not only a large audience, online games have become huge, but teaming up with brands, with artists,
Mm.
and bringing all that multimedia content. Movie premieres are now happening in Fortnite, and I think that's just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. I think honestly that games like Second Life, as goofy as it seems and as much as we
Yeah. Yeah.
laugh about that game, I think there's going to be games like that. I think there's going to be worlds like
Hmm.
that that are built up in the future. VR has not really caught fire. It's slowly, I feel like, creeping into our lives. I think that's mostly just because it's a little uncomfortable to have something directly on your face. So I think eventually there'll have to be another more comfortable way for people to be in that world.
Yeah.
But when there is, I think there's going to be an audience for it.
Hmm.
And the fact that people just sit on Twitch, like just talking to a screen and people are interacting in chat, I think is a testament to the fact that there's a lot of people out there who really want that. And so I can see there being games where it's like, we don't shoot, we don't do any of that stuff. It's just like a hangout. Maybe we do some activities. Um, what's Animal Crossing style like worlds.
Yeah.
But I think, Animal Crossing, Fortnite has this like passive mode. GTA has, a passive mode where you don't have to fight. I think all those are really just precursors for what's going to come. And it might spawn off of one of those franchises. But like, let's think about it. Like Fortnite, you have one server, you have to like invite people, you have to kind of bring your people together, right? It's
Yes.
like it's kind of a hard thing to like get. If you wanted a select group of 50 people together, it would be kind of a chore. And then like Animal Crossing, you need to like share a code, right? I mean, you know a lot better than I do.
Oh yeah.
But
It's
you have
a
to like
very Nintendo.
share things to like interact and like get your islands connected.
Yeah.
And I can see somebody taking all those elements that are pretty popular at the moment, and certainly because of this year have become more popular, and saying, we're going to create this whole world where you can walk over. as I'm saying this, I'm thinking this. I'm literally telling the story of Ready Player One.
The Oasis.
Yeah, but but I can honestly, I can kind of see that it's whether COVID made that happen or not. We'll never know because we don't live in this
Mhm.
alternate world where so many people were sitting at home for the last 10 months,
Yeah.
whatever, 9 months. But we are in the world we're in now, and I think there's an appetite whet for this like world where people can interact and maybe do a lot of things inside of one world instead of just Fortnite, where it's like, well, yeah, the basic game is that you fight 100 people and then you die, but people do cool things in there. Like sometimes they don't shoot and they just like goof off, and sometimes there's Scott Scotty, whatever his name is, had his like album debut inside that
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah.
And I know Call of Duty did this thing where like it took away your guns when they wanted to do their big reveal for Black Ops. And I think all of this is like super early days
Mhm.
of like, hey, not only can you like log in and play your games online, you can just kind of hang out here
Yep.
and like talk to people and walk around. And if you guys want to like stroll over to the video game like emporium or something and like play a game together, you can do that virtually, like while you're like hanging
Yeah.
out and interacting. And like maybe there's a little bit of an interactive avatar of you in the game that
Mhm.
maybe in the future there's something that can like animate how you're actually moving around in your real world. I don't know why I started down this rabbit hole, but it's just I can see these trends for like the next gen.
Yes.
And I think all of this started with the Xbox One that enabled like all this online play that's just caught the world on fire. It's just like it's the thing. Games have become as mainstream as anything is mainstream.
Yep. I mean, like, I think you're right. I mean, it's a big communal experience now, and where really it was before, but not anywhere close. Not anywhere close to the extent that it is now. And like the thought of like for instance, PlayStation 5 doing that thing where you can share your screen and like have your gameplay up the top corner of your buddies and you can like
Hmm.
talk that way and you can play separate games. That's something that would only really happen now. That's something that last gen has kind of inspired, the
Oh yeah.
fact that we're in a community. Like Squad Up was only an expression this generation, this past generation, because that wasn't
Hmm.
as much of a thing. You just do. It is a pain in the butt to freaking play games online sort of before. I mean, at least a lot more so. Now it's just they're catering more and more to it. So yeah, online experience is a huge thing this freaking gen, like for sure. I guess when you listen to this last gen.
Crazy.
That is crazy. Chills. But yeah, I think another big thing is games, um, like not games of service, where certainly is something that
Oh yeah.
has come into
Yeah.
prominence this generation with
And
games.
that's even more like the last 5 years. It's not even like the
Yeah.
generation because there was a long time when that was not true.
Mm-hmm.
But I would
True.
say Destiny really like led into that.
Yes. Absolutely. It's a big thing now, just microtransactions and investing. And like a lot of people would say, I think that, and I would agree with them that that's for good and for ill to say that, there's games that come out like, I think Avengers, like, notice I got that game for free and I've barely been talking about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Avengers being more of a games of service when it's like you're trying to fit a square into a circle hole,
Mhm.
and it's just, yeah. But then you have mega successes like, yeah, games like Fortnite and Apex and like games where people are just super invested into the ecosystem of that, and yeah, will pay here and there for it, and it's
Oh
very
yeah.
interesting. It's a new business model for video games, which has spawned out of this generation, which is very cool.
Oh
But
yeah. Big time. There's huge
mhm,
money in free to play games as service games. Those two things to me are like go hand in hand. Free to play games as service. I mean, they're kind of the same thing.
yeah,
Because in any of the free to play games, I mean, they could easily go games of service route, or games of service games could go free
Yeah.
to play.
Yeah, speaking of, I mean, games have never been more just plentiful as far as how easy it is to get your hands on it,
Mhm.
because we're that kind of
And
lean.
never have games been to where people are playing them so far from release.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Like Siege is now a 2014 game, 6 years old, and
Wow.
it's still like super super popular. They got new events. I mean, they're going like it's a brand new game. And
Yeah.
they never even did the thing that we talked about that like Destiny I thought should have done, which they did, which is, Destiny 2. But they never did that. They said, "Nope, we're good with Siege vanilla."
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Yep. Last gen is like there's a bunch of multiplayer games and be like, okay, we're heading towards the next generation. Okay, that's it. We're closing down the servers.
Yep.
It's like, oh, there they go. That didn't last very
Yeah,
long. All right,
such
bye.
a different world.
Such a different one where these games will go on for years to come. And also, what this year has brought is games in subscription. Games of how do we say that? I mean, from the kind of middling success of PlayStation Now to the astronomical success of Game Pass.
Mhm.
This is especially for Microsoft. I think this is their future. This is what they're investing in. This is a huge selling point for Xbox, and they're leaning heavily into it. Where
Oh yeah.
PlayStation still kind of has one toe in the water. Microsoft has kind of jumped all in on this, and
I
but
know. I really think it's a mistake with PlayStation. You
mhm.
don't want them to get so established. I think it's the reason that Netflix is eating so many people's lunches, because they got so established and made so many good deals. The exact same thing with Game Pass. It's like Game Pass is making some pretty amazing deals. EA Play comes out tomorrow on Game Pass,
Yep.
which is crazy because those are some of the biggest games in the market, and they're just going to be right along with your $10, $15 subscription. So,
Yep. And it'll be one of
pretty
those
awesome
things.
value.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think they need to do as much as they freaking can as far as Sony is concerned. I know they don't have Microsoft money, but they need to make some decisions that look that good, that look like that can do
Yeah.
some of that. I mean, like PlayStation Now, it's a thing. There's games here and there, but it is not Game Pass. Like I've had it for several months at this point. It's not Game Pass. There's some things that remind me of Game Pass, but it's not it. It's similar, but it's not it.
Yeah.
And so,
Do
here's
you see a
hoping.
world in which Sony agrees to put Game Pass on PlayStation? It's insane to even think about, but
It's hard to say. I mean,
crazier things have happened.
it's a possibility, but because I think
Because I
Microsoft
think
would do it.
Microsoft would be so down.
Yeah, they'd be down. I agree with that. Um, that'd be crazy. Maybe in like an X Cloud capacity. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I could see maybe even Sony like negotiating, like, we'll allow you to put Game Pass on our console, but we want to have exclusives that are on Game Pass, but only on PlayStation Game Pass.
Hmm.
I don't know if Microsoft would be down for that, but I could see that possibly being a thing. Like, there's a reason you're coming to PlayStation, because you can play God of War 3000
Yeah.
on PS5 Game Pass day and date. That'd be an interesting world.
Without any knowledge of what PlayStation 5 and Series X has in store, if I were to have tried to guess where the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 kind of went and like some of the stuff they did and what happened through the generation, I would have had no idea. So we have a long generation ahead of us. I think there's a lot of things that are possible, and I think we're going to be very surprised moving forward with some of the stuff that these guys do and hey, potentially do together. I mean, hard to
I
say.
think Sony should really be talking to Microsoft, or at least one of these other cloud providers, about their, streaming service. Be like, we need help.
Yeah.
We want to do this right, but we need help. This is just not something we're experienced in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. Sony has good studios that make great games, and they're good at making hardware. They're good at making cameras. They've made what, great TVs for a long time. They make appliances. Like, they're good at making like physical things, but just cloud is just not something Sony's invested in.
No, not at all. And yeah, I've already said how terrible I think the streaming is on PlayStation Now. They haven't really talked that much about PlayStation Now with the PlayStation 5, and so I I don't know if there's been any improvements or anything as far as the streaming is concerned, but I'm not very hopeful. Um, but speaking of that, what do you think have been some disappointments that this generation kind of held, whether it's with certain games or whether it's with systems or business decisions or anything like that? What do you think some ways that the Sony or Microsoft have kind of fallen short?
I mean, I think the biggest one by far, excuse me, is Sony's had the exclusives. I mean, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Sony's had the exclusives this year, this generation, and Microsoft has not. They've had very few exclusives. I still enjoy my Xbox One, but if it weren't for the fact that, I love the controller and I've just kind of been an Xbox person and I enjoy Xbox, there's really no reason for somebody to come over to Xbox, and I've understood that the whole time. It's always been something I've been very disappointed with Microsoft in. I think the leadership before Spencer came in was just lacking. I don't think there was a lot of vision for the future. I think they did fine at making a good console that I think was a little underpowered. I think they could have used for putting a little bit more power in it to where like a game like Halo 5 would have run at 1080p right at the beginning, because that game still wasn't running at 1080p, and that was like the big thing that they pushed with Xbox One. So I wish it had been right out of the gate a little more powerful. I think they caught up. Like I said, I think Phil Spencer is the reason they caught up. I think
Yeah.
the reason so many things changed over there. But I don't think the leadership at the beginning of the generation was there um, to foresee that we are going to run out of new games coming out on Xbox, like
Yeah.
exclusive games, console mover kind of games. And yeah, they didn't do enough then, but I think they've done a lot now. So I'm very hopeful for the future. But Sony had just great single player campaign games. That's just, they did in every way. And I think that's something to be very proud of for Sony. And I think it's a different ball game this time around, but I think no matter what, there's always going to be an audience for those single player games. And I think that Microsoft has a much better chance now with all these new studios. So I'm very interested to see what they push out. But I think that's something Sony should work hard at maintaining, that like we are here to like tell good stories. We're here for the super realistic games, and I hope Microsoft brings it in that realm more. But yeah, I mean, they got their butt handed to them. It's as simple as that in this generation when it comes to that specifically.
Yeah. Um, For I think I'll speak to some of Sony's downfalls. I think for me, something that's been very disappointing. I'm an archivalist, when it comes to a lot of stuff. I love movies, games. I like to have it. I like to have all the stuff, even if it's old, even if I don't know when the next time I'm going
Yeah.
to use it. I want to bring it along with me. The lack
Mhm.
of backwards compatibility in the PlayStation 4, sheer lack of backwards compatibility was and actually kind of continues to be a frustration for me. I know a lot of these games again were ported over. But what does that mean when they're ported over? It means the opposite of what it means now, moving towards the next generation, is that I had to pay again for games that I already bought for
Yeah.
the last generation.
That's crazy to me when I hear that kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's terrible.
I had to buy, the Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Oh, guess what? I have to buy them again. Luckily, I didn't buy The Last of Us when it was on PlayStation 3. That was right at the end of the generation. But still, that was a $60 game. That remaster, $60 when it came out. And that's, and then he just didn't bother to do it. I understand that the PlayStation 3 is a hard console to emulate. That's what I understand. But they needed to do something to bring that generation along. And I think they've learned that a little bit, and that's what they're going into this next generation with. But still, it bothers me to this day that there are some games that I'm just like, it's gone. And if I really want to play that game, I'm going to have to boot that Blu-ray player that I have upstairs and play it on that thing. Because, honestly, I still don't. I bought those first two Infamous games. and I just can't play them
Yeah.
unless I boot up my PlayStation 3. I'm sure at someday they're going to remaster that, but guess what that means? I'm buying them again. And so, yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
a huge
I mean,
frustration.
it's very similar to what Nintendo has done with a lot of their games, isn't it?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe. Like you wouldn't believe. It's crazy that I somehow have far less frustration towards Nintendo. I don't know what it is with Nintendo that they are like immune to my ire when it comes to this thing in a way that Sony isn't. It sounds really dumb and hypocritical, but I think everyone is like that who is a Nintendo fan for some reason. And I'm a Sony fan, but for some reason this stuff pisses me off. And the fact that they like have gotten so much money out of me that I'm like, I should have just already have that. I have that, but it's just not there. It doesn't matter if it's digital or physical. Like nothing would have happened if I popped a PlayStation 3 disc into my PlayStation 4. And so I am happy, especially, when I got the PlayStation 4, that was the first console I felt like I was invested in, like in its ecostructure and the fact that like, cause I had the finances to back it up. I was able to finance the thing and be like, okay, and most of these big games I'm getting at some point. And so the fact that the PlayStation 5 is backwards compatible is a huge deal for me. Huge. Because first time they've done it in a long time. The fact that, I have like 300 plus games in my library. Can you imagine? Can you imagine my fury if the guy get the PlayStation 5 and that wasn't there? And it was like, oh, no, we decided not to do that. I've bought certain games, like since the PlayStation 5 was announced and the fact that it is going to be backwards compatible with the 4, I bought certain games like on sale with the idea in mind. I'll play it someday. I know the PlayStation 5 is coming out in several months, but I'll be able to play it on that eventually. And so that's a good feeling. And it should have been there from the beginning with the PlayStation 4. It wasn't there throughout the entire generation. Don't tell me that they're backwards compatible because they had PlayStation Now. Playing PS3 via streaming on PlayStation Now is a horrible experience. Horrible. And I know last time I said I've tried only a few games. No, I've tried several at this point, and it's never nice. It's like, how they're like, oh, backwards compatibility on the X and the PlayStation 5, their games are better. They run better now. It's like the opposite with streaming a PlayStation 3 game via PlayStation Now. It's worse.
It's much worse
than it was playing it on an actual PlayStation 3. Oh my God. So anyways, that's my tirade. I had a lot pent up emotions about that. My bad.
Breaking news for the show.
Oh, holy crap. Let's do this.
So Amazon has, wow, this is crazy. So in my email, there are two emails. The one up above, Best Buy, your order has shipped. So it's shipped. It's on its way.
Woo!
Yeah, the Xbox is coming.
Awesome. Let's go.
Yeah, so I guess, knowing them, it may be your Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. Like they're quick.
Heck yes.
And the bad news,
all right,
right underneath that, Amazon, important information about your Amazon order.
Okay.
And I see on Twitter, Wario64 is retweeting that other people are getting the same email. We're contacting you with an update regarding your order of Xbox Series X. We expect to ship your console in the coming weeks.
My God.
As we receive more inventory in November and December. At this time, we anticipate that you will receive your Xbox Series X by 12/31.
Oh, no.
Or before.
Oh.
Wow. We are making every effort to get it to you as soon as possible. Apologize for any inconvenience.
So did yours just like slip out like the back while they were making that announcement? It was like it tiptoed into the delivery truck?
No, my Best Buy order is shipped.
Oh.
That's all I've gotten from Amazon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, the Xbox is on the way via Best Buy. Let's get over there to his house. Holy crap, Amazon. Do your freaking... Yeah, that pisses me off. That's just the fact that... Because GameStop did something similar with their pre-orders. They came out and said, you have an opportunity to pre-order this for the second wave. This is when you'll get it. You're pre-ordering it for this time frame. That's transparency, you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And here's
That should
Amazon.
be. That's how it freaking should be, Jordan.
And it's not like you ordered it on like the third day after pre-orders. No, you ordered
No,
it.
it was like 40 minutes after it was
Yeah.
released.
What did they do? Did they forget to turn it off? Oh shoot, we ran out hours ago or whatever. We ran out 15 minutes ago, and there've been so many.
I followed a Wario 64 link, so the actual link for it was not working. He sent another link, and that got me through to this Amazon link that actually did work. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they were just adding other pages for future things. Yeah, it's just, I think people understand where I'm going here, but it's so frustrating. So it's making me more and more want to make sure I get one tonight. So
Yeah,
they're saying Newegg and Walmart will have pre-orders tonight, or I guess not pre-orders, orders.
just orders because it's
Order
out.
pages,
At
yeah.
that point, it is out.
So none of this will matter because people will be listening to this tomorrow morning. But
Yeah,
know that last night I was stressing and hopefully got one.
that's your news from past
We'll see.
Luke.
Yeah.
From past Luke.
Luke, tomorrow morning, congratulations, or man, that sucks.
Your message to yourself. Definitely record yourself getting that thing, man. Get some video of you opening that, and we want to have some glory shots for the old YouTube page of the glorious moment.
At least I'm gonna get one.
That's right.
Jason may have to wait a little bit.
Buddy, Jason, Mr. King.
You should have learned how to order it yourself.
You know how it goes, man. You know how it goes. This is how it is, man. I'm sorry. It's tough, but at least you got to listen vicariously through us as to how it's going. I don't know. Anyways, but that's good news. That's good news. Is it okay? So we're running a little long, I guess, but I wanted to real quick some big gaming moments for you, like that characterize this generation, like games that you just like sank your emotions or your energy into, where you're like, wow, yeah, this is what a generation.
I could talk about this forever, so we're gonna make it a speed round. Okay,
let's do this.
It's Destiny. Destiny to me was a high point of this generation. I think it changed shooters irreversibly forever. I think it introduced this living world that you could go in and then go to different parts of the world, whether it was multiplayer, whether it was the Crucible, these different missions with fire teams. And I think that was revolutionary. Bungie is an incredible developer. I wish they were a Microsoft exclusive, but I'm glad everyone gets to play them. So I guess I don't wish that, but they're just incredible. Bungie's amazing. From Halo to Destiny, they've just created amazing games. So Destiny, I think, was an amazing thing that came out. Another one. These are all kind of Xbox things. I mean, they're multi-platform, but Titanfall was another one. That was one of the few exclusives that we had for Xbox, and I think it was a really cool game. It was a unique idea. You got to have that mech warfare that we hadn't had in so long. There was what was that mech game you and I played back in the day? Armored Core. Yeah, that was awesome. So you got some of that, but you also had a really cool plain first person shooter and Respawn. Just they're doing great. They made Apex, great game. So, and then the last one would be Halo 5. I thought that was just an amazing multiplayer Halo game with a very lacking campaign, but really cool. And I'm so excited for the new one. I just hope they get their crap together. That's my speed version of those three big games for me.
Big one for me. This is a multi-platform game, but for me, Kingdom Hearts 3. The launch of that was just a very special time. Like it's very cheesy, very dorky. I don't care. It's a very special time in my life. Like getting hyped for that game, going through all the different games, going to Disney to demo it, going to the freaking orchestra concert in Atlanta for Kingdom Hearts, and then like. I had this thing where I had a couple other buddies over who are really into Kingdom Hearts, and we made sea salt ice cream, which is a very important thing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and just the hype level, taking 2 days off to play it and just loving it, like that was huge. That was probably one of the biggest games to come out for me in like over a generation of gaming. Like, cause it's a game I've been waiting for ever since Kingdom Hearts 2. And for me, it's super delivered, and I was just super happy with it. And the build up to it was equally as special to me. And so yeah, that was just a huge game for me. I don't know if it's going to be a long time, because that will never happen again for me. Even, now that Square seems to have its rear in gear as far as like Kingdom Hearts content, even when 4 eventually does come out, it's not going to be the same. It's not. It's just not. And so
What a
that was,
build up to that game.
yeah, the build up was just incredible. I've never been as excited for a game than I was for Kingdom Hearts 3. And when it came out, the fact that it did not disappoint me and I enjoyed it as much as I did, just awesome.
Yeah.
One of the not only the biggest game of that generation, probably the biggest game in like 2. Nothing that big happened for me in the generation prior to it. Other than that, it's like, it's so hard to like kind of come down from that one to be like, oh yeah, that was great. But No Man's Sky was a big one for me. I mean, I don't talk about that game a lot, but I go back to No Man's Sky a lot. It's a game that started with a lot of flaws and continued to have a lot of flaws and still has some flaws. But what it does, it's very interesting and very different, and it gives you a feeling that you don't get in any other game, and it's special. And it's on right now. It's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and I'm hyped to get back into it with the improvements that are coming with the next gen. But that was a big one for me. It's like it stuck around to the point where I put over 100 hours into it, but like the fact that it's like, oh, here's vanilla No Man's Sky, we've gone silent. Oh, here's this big update. Here's this giant update. Okay, we've gone silent. Here's another. It's like kept me in it for like years, and so like it's a big game for me this generation that I've kind of just stuck with, and it's yeah, very very happy that it exists, and I'll be probably playing it here and there for the years to come. And Other than that, I'll say probably Naughty Dog, just as a developer. The games that they came out with this year, freaking Uncharted 4 and Last of Us Part 2, they wrapped up their biggest franchises. I think they wrapped up.
Killed it.
Yeah, and they freaking nailed it. Those games are master classes in freaking single player adventure games, and I've already said a bunch of good stuff about them, but yeah, they were just huge games. Like it's like hard for me to like talk about them as like generation defining, because like these are games that started on the last gen hardware on PlayStation 3, but and this is just like this really big like kind of like iteration and expansion and evolution of those ideas. But they wrap these stories up, and for me they're kind of legendary, and like I look at them as like this, like the same way you look at, oh my gosh, Inception, what a masterclass, this AAA thing. I kind of look at those games like that as far as single player adventure games go. But yeah, man, giant high points this generation for me. Yeah, man, the next few days, by the end of this week at least, we'll be freaking playing the Xboxes, playing the PlayStations, and I'm freaking hyped, man. I took Thursday off, so that's pretty much what I'll be doing that day. I wanted to kind of just get there and just dig in. Been looking forward to it so much. I just kind of took a day to say bon appetit and enjoy that hot newness. Is that the term? Hot freshness? That hot new hotness?
That hot.
That hot.
That hot heat.
That hot heat, that band. But I think that's pretty much it, man. I mean, what is there anything else that you want to say? Because like again, the next time we're going to be talking is when we're going to be talking about, it's basically going to be our breakdown and our experiences with these new consoles. And so that's pretty crazy. But is there anything you want to kind of predict or hope before then, or?
I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of frustration over these shipment delays. I think it's going to be unlike really anything we've seen. Yeah, I don't think there's been this kind of demand for something worldwide maybe before.
Yeah, I agree.
I think about maybe some of the iPhone launches maybe being like this, but I don't think there's been an iPhone launch that's been, this crazy in a long time. Like maybe like the 3GS, like iPhone 4. I remember like those
Mhm.
were some pretty big launches, but even then, I don't think it was available in as many countries as these consoles are. So I think it'll be interesting to watch the news and just see, are people getting their pre-orders delivered? How many people got consoles tomorrow morning, in store
Yeah.
or pre-ordered them or whatever. Yeah, I think that will be the most interesting thing. And then I think everybody's going to love them. Honestly, the
Yes.
reviews are kind of already out. IGN released the reviews. They seem like they're super solid consoles.
Mhm.
We're so far into making computers at this point that Sony and Microsoft, they know what they're doing. They design good consoles. There may be things that we don't like about the way they look and stuff, but I
Mhm.
think overall we're not in that place where you're going to have to wrap your Xbox 360 in a towel so you can melt the the, the
That's right.
adhesive back down because your chips are
Yeah.
rising up because they're overheating too much. So yeah, that was ridiculous. We're no longer in that kind of place. The Xbox One, I mean, despite it being as old as it is, it's amazing to me that it's still running as well as it is. I was
Yeah,
just
man.
noticing last night, like that thing gets hot, but it's in like this enclosed area. It's in a terrible place. It should not be in there, but I don't really have anywhere else to
Yeah.
put it. So it's unfortunate. So yeah, and I think games like Warzone, I think are kind of pushing it to its max at this point.
Ugh, come
I was
on.
comparing. I just was kind of interested while you were listening, or while you were talking about your, excitement. I was comparing like what an original Xbox compared to like Xbox One X, and it's incredible, like what a jump that has been.
Good
And then
lord.
like
Yeah.
knowing that it's like I want to say that the new one they said is like 10 times the teraflops the Series X is compared to the Xbox One X,
Mm.
which is just it's crazy. So yeah, it's exciting. I think we're getting, whether it's PlayStation or Xbox, I think we're getting great consoles.
Yeah, we're in for a
I
treat.
just don't know when we're gonna get them for some of us.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be something we're going to run into. I think the frustration is, as far as that is concerned, is long from over. I think the horror story that I am first foreseeing is that Xbox and both Microsoft and Sony are probably holding consoles back so they can sell them on Black Friday, and there's going to be some people who are able to get a PlayStation and an Xbox on Black Friday, and there's going to be people who pre-ordered them day one who still don't have theirs.
Yep,
And that's a frustrating
like
thought.
me for sure.
Yeah, at least
with the Amazon thing at
with
least.
the Amazon one. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very frustrating thought, and I think that we're going to see that happen. We're going to see a demand for these consoles like never before in a time where manufacturing isn't as easy. And so yeah, I think this holiday season is going to be a tough one for families, here and there, to be like, oh gosh, I got to try to get my kid a Series S or Series X or a PlayStation 5. I hope that they're able to meet the demand as
Yeah.
much as they can, because I want these things to sell and I want them to get out there, and also I want all these families who have to have their kids home so much more to have some of these, and
Hmm.
make their kids happy for the holiday, or themselves for that matter, because being trapped inside and not
Yeah.
have as much to do, you can't go to the theater, can't go to the club or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I mean, there are communal experiences, as we talked about, are very much here
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's hoping for that is hoping. But either way, I think as far as for everyone who is getting a console, we're in for a real treat. And I'm super jazzed. But anyways, I guess that'll do it, man. And we'll be catching up and having all sorts of stuff to talk about. I can probably foresee we might not even do a watching slash playing next week. We'll probably just honestly be, we might have to do a special episode. I don't know. We'll do something to fit it all in here. Maybe
We'll
it'll
talk
just
about
be,
the third day, and I'll watch that and
yeah, absolutely. I'm
talk about that.
I'm excited to freaking talk about that with you. I got some stuff to say. This mouth will be running. All right, man. Best of luck to you tonight in your endeavors.
That's right.
Past
Best
Luke.
of luck to you out there.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.